Take us away. So, how are you feeling today?
Not any particular way. Fuck me, I cannot do these fucking yes and things. I need to do them myself. I can't do them. Like the prompting, it doesn't work.
It's fine, it's fine. Some people pitch and some people are batters. It's fine.
I will never not freeze up.
So, I guess you're just someone that the Mets trade away too early then? Just pure pitching?
His name was Daniel Murphy, and he was gonna take us there in 2016.
Well, let us all hold a candle out for Mr. Murphy.
The GOAT.
And the other victims of the outgoing Mets management. So I have a two-part answer to that question.
Mm-hmm.
Because physically, I feel like shit. I got hit by a fucking car the other day. I can walk or whatever, but I got hit by a fucking car, and it was a hit and run, and I just watched him speed off. And you have to understand that we live in the law and order part of the city. So I'm just seeing what those words mean in practice, and it turns out that it amounts to about 60 around the fucking corner. So yeah, that sucked.
Fucker.
I'm also hungover. But the reason I'm hungover is also the reason that spiritually, I'm great. And that is that a bad thing happened to another person, and I am glowing in it. Sans being cautious, I understand.
I'm not even being cautious. I'm not doing anything. I'm not feeling any way about it. I'm not saying anything about it. I am, like, perhaps this is superstition right here, and I've, in the past been unkind to the superstitious. I've been...
I never stopped.
Dismissive of them. Yes, I have been. This is less me being superstitious, and this is me not investing in something that I don't know what the payout is going to be. You understand?
I mean, I understand that we move through a world in which we have little to no control of any outcome. But I'm someone who likes to enjoy...
It seems like the outcome is the worst one that they could have come up with.
That has been a trend.
Like, remember, SARS? Remember when that never made it over? 27 people in the U.S. ever caught SARS.
I understand that trepidation, but I like to enjoy individual moments. And maybe there is a fucking disaster around the corner. But today... Okay, there's a breakdancing move called hand hops, right?
Is it anything like a dark hammer?
It is actually similar to a dark hammer. It's like an upside-down dark hammer.
That sounds like it hurts. I've seen dark hammers. How do you do the...
It's like being a god. Now, all your weight is on one hand upside down, and you're just jumping up and down on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fun-looking move, fun time, potential risk, very loud, very heavy. Now, understand, I'm on the second floor, so I live above someone. And I live above my landlord. But when
That's what true courage looks like, ladies and gentlemen.
I just heard the news and I was already upside down. I'm surprised I didn't drink while I was doing the hand hops. And then after that, remember we used to play Def Jam Fight for New York a lot?
Fuck yes, I remember. Kick-ass game.
Fucking amazing. Remember that song, Let's Get Dirty?
Yeah.
I just had that on loop for like 20 minutes. So, I feel wonder shit. Wonderful and shit. I am kind of dying as well. I have the worst hangover.
We all are, slowly, etc., etc.
Oh no, I'm the guy who lives forever. I'm the protagonist. It's like Dune.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's just wandering through the desert somewhere as the plot demands.
You don't look like Timothée Chalamet to me.
Oh, so now Timothée Chalamet wasn't black, huh? So, today's theme is a continuation of yesterday's theme, which we're just marching through some of the extended... What?
Yesterday. Oh, no, right. I'm being pedantic right now. Go on.
Oh, okay. Hey, everyone. Let's do this so Sam Legault is comfortable. This week's theme is a continuation of last week's theme, in which we are sort of just cartwheeling through the Pokemon franchise here, right?
Yeah.
And in the extended franchise, we're not really doing the video game stuff because...
I'm probably going to talk about video game stuff anyway. This is me.
We're visiting the outlying islands of the Pokemon Empire.
Understand, Weeaboo Hell exists because of Pokemon, because that was mine, and I'm definitely not alone in this. Mine and many others' entryway into Japanese media.
Holy crap. I'm trying to figure out my source zombie now. I think it must have been... It was something on the core, like, shonen shoujo spectrum. A Sailor Moon or Dragon Ball Z or Yu Yu Hakusho kind of thing.
It was all happening in the late 90s on Kids WB Cartoon Network. I feel like Toonami was a little bit later.
Did they have any scraps before Toonami of anime? I'm not sure. That's a good question.
Lord, I can't remember back that far anymore. Like I remember visions, right? I've got flashes of, you know, what was on TV and what TV looked like. I remember I'm not going to start getting into this, but I remember, you know, actually having to wait for a given day and wake up at a certain time to watch it at a certain time in the morning. That's when Pokemon would be on.
Oh man, I watched all those Saturday morning cartoon blocks, and by all of them, I mean it must have only been one or two because you physically can only watch one channel at a time. But
remember during summer break where they'd air all the Bugs Bunny cartoons and they'd call it June Bugs?
Yep.
That fucking ruled. I miss June Bugs.
Really rough time on the parents that had just...
No, it's easy. I was
starts.
just like there in front of the TV and they didn't have to fucking deal with my bullshit.
I would very much commentate the program happening. Everyone had to know. You have to imagine he says rabbit season, duck season, and I go, "Bah God! He's turned it around on him!" So the original Pokemon anime is just the reason you weeb this hard to this day.
Yes, that's where it all began.
Alright, now we know what your first zombie is.
Yeah, sometimes when I'm feeling pretentious, I'll tell people it was when they originally aired Mobile Suit Gundam on Toonami, like back in like 2009, or not 2009, 1999, 2000.
Okay, so that's what you say if you're on, I don't know, a first date with a fucking nerd, I guess.
Yeah. Dude, I shouldn't have said it here. Now I can't fucking do it again.
Dude, I'm not proud. I think I might have been watching Card Captors or some shit.
There was a whole lot that I was watching back then, like after Pokemon too, like during, after, you know, late 90s. I think it was around 98, 99 when Pokemon first aired in the States. I want to say it was 99.
Okay.
And I remember there being other anime on TV. I cannot remember what the fuck it was, but it was there, definitely.
I remember a lot of it. I remember too much of it. I remember Fighting Foodons, which was a Mon show about food that turned into monsters.
I remember Ultimate Muscle, which,
I do remember Ultimate Muscle.
as it turns out, was a sequel series to Kanika Man.
I am just learning that, and I mostly remember Ultimate Muscle because it had the most bizarre US theme song. And the melody still just sort of catches in my head from this day. It just opens with a guy, this deep baritone voice saying, "Some bad boys from outer space." And then the crowd chants Ultimate Muscle.
It's almost a shame that they did away with English theme songs for anime. Because, I don't know, I feel like there's a whole lot to mock today, but I could always use a little bit more.
Yeah, the world needs those extra punchlines. Those really just give us something to smile about. And it just feels good to laugh at something that doesn't fucking matter.
Although it does
like, it doesn't matter that your US dub has a shit theme song. I mean, for your ratings maybe, but doesn't hurt people, you know?
It does, like, no, it's ultimately, it's stupid if harmless. Although I do think that people tend to remember the original Pokemon anime's theme song pretty fondly. Probably just because, you know, those were simpler times.
Yeah, the power metal band Power Glove did a cover of it, in fact.
I like Power Glove.
They were fun. They are fun. I
really
guess
wish
they
I
had an album
had
in the last
something
3
funny
years.
to say right now. Jesus fucking Christ.
Hold on, JokeBot 3000 running.
Beep boop, beep boop.
Wow, for once I stalled out. Congratulations, Sam.
Man,
Sometimes
fucking,
it happens.
Did you forget to fucking charge the joke bot? God damn it, I thought you did stand up.
I did stand up when it existed.
Lord in fucking heaven. You read the manga to this week, right?
Yep, I read specially Pokemon Adventures because there are a bunch of Pokemon manga series.
Right, yeah.
So what did you think about reading the manga, Sam?
I'll have to phone up, Sam Legault at 13 years old because he could fucking tell you, because Sam at 28 was real fucking busy at work this week. and I did not get to it.
So this is going to be fascinating because Sam is using a kind of an ancestral recall thing right now. He is trying to just channel memories through the fog. I read, I guess it was chapters 1 through 60 of this.
So, for the kids at home who have read Pokemon Special / Pokemon Adventure, that's the entire Red and Blue arc and some of the Yellow arc.
And yeah, I wanted to read at least one discrete chunk of the whole thing following one character because I know this thing hops from island to island.
It does, yeah.
And I wanted to see a bit of how they try to mix it up with different protagonists.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an interesting conceit. It kind of lends it this amusing JoJo-esque arc myth thing to it. I do like the new protagonist a little more, actually. I guess it's just I have weird tastes in characters, and I know there is an appeal to default hero men.
So one thing that I will say, Red as a character is just one of my favorite fictional characters just of all time. I think that one of my favorite moments in fiction, and this is almost fucking dumb, but one of my favorite moments in fiction is the battle on Mount Silver, just as a fucking moment.
That's a fun time. If I were to talk about my favorite chapter in this entire thing, they had a rendition of the whole Safari Zone thing that was just a self-contained adventure, and I kind of like that kind of Samurai Jack shit.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the premise of him wandering around Pokemon-less, having instigated a Prince of Persia 2 Dahaka chase around...
the fucking Taurus, was it?
I think they did that in the show. In this, it was a Nidoking.
Was it Nidoking? Ooh.
Which...
Oh, I have a Nidoking in my
works.
current fucking Nuzlocke run of Heart Gold right now.
Oh, press W for success.
I don't know, the stats kind of like plateau after a while. It's honestly probably not going to carry me into the end game.
Oh, does it just look a lot more threatening than it is?
Yes, yeah, it is what it is, that type of Pokemon.
Okay, well, it looks very intimidating as it chases our fucking unarmed protagonist around there, and I enjoyed the whole sequence.
Mm-hmm. Oh wait, the
I would
Taurus
say that
episode was the one where some guy fucking pointed a gun at his head.
I understand how
that didn't air in the States.
That's fucking great.
Like they couldn't find a way. They couldn't find a way to edit it out or make it look like anything.
They couldn't turn it into like a slingshot with a banana.
Other than fucking anime Clint Eastwood points a fucking gun at a 10-year-old's head.
Beautiful. Oh man. Too bad he can't use Reflect. I'll do a little bit of minimal context work just to set this up.
Okay, sure, yeah.
In contrast to the comic we did last time, which, while they're both episodic, that one essentially didn't do a continuous arc-based thing. It just had
extremely arcy.
This is an arc-based comic book in the sort of house visual style. It tries to, unless some Team Rocket chicanery is happening, contain it to one opponent per thing as a sort of gimmick. Like each chapter will be called versus blank Pokemon or versus blank character.
Yeah.
And that's a fun frame. It actually reminds me of how Warren Ellis sort of structured his Moon Knight run, because I'm a fucking nerd.
What I think is interesting about it is that it is very much more, not a reaction to, really, because it's all, like, in-house. It has a closer relationship to the games, whereas Electric Tale of Pikachu has a closer relationship to the anime. And
honestly, for something with as many wackadoo, very video gamey conceits as Pokemon, in an all-ages sort of brand promotion thing like this, I was impressed with the kind of integration of things. What I want to bring up, because I actually did like this comic, I want to make sure I bring it up, because I know as I go through this, I'm going to keep on talking about it as a brand thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this reminded me of something.
What did it remind you of?
I write ads right now, right? And when you first take on this job, at first you're looking at, like, the 20 good ads that exist that are entertaining and brought something to the thing, and you thought, wow, this really adds something to it.
The Phil Collins gorilla.
Yeah, that kind of shit, right?
Yeah.
Then sometimes you get in and you remember that almost every ad that exists is dross that does not deserve to. This is an interesting comic for me to come to from that kind of perspective.
Mm-hmm.
in a very real way, this is a long-form narrative brand extension. But they actually do something fun and artful and very efficient with it. And I wanted to compare it to our time with gacha shows, which we haven't done as many as I suspected because it often feels like an empty exercise.
Yeah. I mean...
Because you say, this is just an ad. This is just here to bring you into it.
I'm pretty sure Princess Connect Rejive was a gacha show, and that was the last one that we've done in recent memory because I was fucking... That was it after that. I had no more fucking patience for it as a genre.
Yeah, that one hit our boy in the lymph nodes.
And if we have to fucking do it again, then I'm gonna break something.
And it's interesting because you could see these same meetings essentially leading to this comic as what leads to the average fucking gacha anime or manga, but...
Morgan's brother, Quinn. You've met Quinn, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you met his girlfriend?
Nope.
Okay, so she just got back from a year in Japan. And she said the most fucking depressing thing to me, which is that on the fucking Tokyo Metro or whatever, everyone's fucking playing Azure Lane or whatever the fuck. Everyone's playing fucking gacha games. This trend is going to be around for a fucking while. Sit tight. It's like the fucking Yankees in the mid to late 90s. They're just not going to fucking go away.
They found a way to fit a casino onto a fucking Switch.
I'm so fucking angry at... I'm just so fucking... Okay, go on. You were making a point.
My point was that this, like Tyler the Creator doing an ad with a goat, or even just go back to that fucking lemon car ad shit, I can get even angrier at the average gacha shows, just knowing that you can do something that was entirely pushed and conceived and promoted as a brand extension without just vomiting garbage into the media stream. Because I liked this comic. That was my really roundabout circular way of getting back to a point here.
I mean, Gundam exists to sell toys, and it's about how people will always come up with reasons to kill one another. And it has informed stuff that I like in media, and whenever I try and create media, Gundam always finds its way in. So I'm not necessarily opposed to the merchandise-driven, model. Good canon has come of it. You do what you can when you're given a prerogative to sell shit.
We do what we must because we can. One thing that was interesting to me, because we had this whole conversational screw-up. The English version flips the names of two characters, Blue and Green. And we spent 15 minutes trying to figure out what the fuck the other person was talking about.
We were convinced that the other one had lost his fucking mind. Because, so as I have always kind of understood it, Gary from the anime, right? Mm-hmm. His counterpart, or your rival, the rival from fucking Red and Blue, right? I always understood his name to be Green because in Japan, that totally is his name in this. Not so in the States where he is Blue. Likewise, there is a female trainer in this who would eventually become Leaf from the remakes, right?
Yeah.
With the kind of fishing hat, or the bucket hat. You Leaf with the bucket. I like her hat. Anyway, she is Blue in Japan, but is Green in the States.
Yeah, she's on a whole Catwoman bit, and the point is that it really just made us both think the other person was having this Berenstain Bear moment, this kind of aphasia.
Like, oh man, his name's Green. What the fuck are you talking about? Look at his jacket.
Do you smell toast? This comic rides a very idealistic track. So Green is much more of a human being than Gary Oak, or even really Green in the game, if I remember him correctly.
He was a prick. Like, he was a bog standard prick in the game, as I remember. I think the worst your rivals ever got was in Gen 2, when, like, he was literally just a fucking psychopath talking about how cruelty is the way, or something like that. And all of
That guy. I just heard, what do you think this is?
Blue or Green or whatever, your rival from the first generation games was basically, he was just kind of a fucking prick.
I think that Gen 2 rival might be the transition point to all these fucking world annihilation plots. that this franchise seeps into. I mean, they're sort of here in this comic, but within the games themselves.
I'm trying to think, yeah, because
in Gen 1, they were basically the Mafia trying to make a big guy.
They were the Mafia, and well, the whole big guy thing was really only implicit. They were the Mafia. I think maybe they had been involved. No, not even them. They hadn't been involved. Mewtwo became a Team Rocket thing in the anime, right? In the video games, it was just some scientist somewhere made Mewtwo, and now he's in Cerulean Cave for whatever.
Yeah, it's some form of, I don't want to call it an escalation problem, but I guess they were trying to think of what the stakes are.
It was totally an escalation problem.
Okay, so
I mean, like in Gen 2, Team Rocket was there, and now they have a plan that involves the radio.
And it's just this ramp up towards the world in italics.
It kind of peaked in Gen 4 when you have Cyrus who wants to destroy the multiverse. Oh god.
And
I know I'm a Gen 4 apologist, but so much about that generation was so fuck stupid.
And I'm sitting here as a human being looking at this first game, which is essentially a sports plotline.
Yes. Yeah, no, that is the thing.
Like, this stuff compares.
Pokemon is a sports story.
Yeah.
It is it's sports, guys.
And I'm just sitting here and thinking, so what you're telling me is that if Free or Haikyuu goes on long enough, there is going to be a guy who is going to splash his way to controlling the UN. And in the season following that, there is a guy. No, he'll be a coach this time. They gotta mix it up. Mm-hmm. There is a coach whose team is trying to splash its way to causing a fracture along the Prime Meridian that splits the world into two perfectly equal halves.
I swear to God, this happened in Hey Arnold.
This escalation thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think Pokemon had built up a pretty good head of steam by the time this comic came out. I could be entirely wrong. But it seems to very much have its own myth established. So they've got to juice Team Rocket up a bit.
Oh yeah, by having Sabrina the absolute fucking psychopath as one of its admins now.
Yeah, they have a whole gym leader conspiracy. Lieutenant Surge has been grafted onto this plot because, I don't know, we need 3 people to fight 3 trainers.
It was Lance, Surge, and Sabrina, right? Am I missing?
I think
one?
the Lance thing happens later. In the core 50 or so, like, Red comics, it's Surge, Sabrina, and Koga.
Oh yeah, Koga. Yeah.
I guess ninjas are a good fit for organized crime. If I were to bring,
absolutely, yeah, I could see like Koga being, yeah.
If I were to bring a skill set into the industry.
I do remember really enjoying that plot line then, and I still do now, just the idea that, like, gym leaders who are understood to be, like, pretty, they're public figures, right? They're public figures.
Yeah, it's somewhere between, it's this weird hybrid between being Yoda, being the city comptroller, being retired, and running a Crunch gym, like a local Crunch franchise. Seems to be the hybrid role of a gym leader.
It's strange. I always wondered, and this is going way the fuck deeper into it than I really should be going, or like anyone really needs to be going, right? Because you don't fucking think too hard about the Pokemon world. It's not going to make sense if you do.
Oh, but yeah, by the way, when I say this is a fun, good comic, like, I'm saying this is a good kids action series. I'm not saying this is some deep. This isn't fucking Monster. It's not a character study of.
No, it's just good at doing what it does. But here I am getting lost in the weeds right now, thinking about, is Pokemon Society that amazingly wrapped up in the idea of these Pokemon leagues, right? Or is it just that you're only ever playing these games from the perspective of someone who is, part of this sport that is such a big part of this society, right?
All right, so there's the answer I suspect, and there's the answer I want.
Okay.
So the answer I suspect, just tonally from later entries in the franchise, is that everyone has at least a finger in this pool.
It's like, it seems like goes. As an institution, as a societal institution, it's about as important as television.
That's a good comparison. It's as important and ubiquitous as, say, TV.
TV, okay.
The answer my sense of humor wants is that 80% of the population just looking at these guys and going, okay.
Oh yeah, that's a Pokemon trainer. They're super fucking weird, dude.
Yeah, my brother's a Pokemon trainer. We don't really talk as much as we used to. He just tells me what attacks his Gyarados knows now.
Look, don't look right into his eyes or he's gonna try and fight you.
Dude, I wanted to just have a cat around the house, so I got a Meowth, and now these kids don't leave me the fuck alone. I'm worried. What if them just fucking shot a laser at it when I was trying to walk in the park? Like, holy shit, man.
I bought myself a baseball cap, because it gets cold out in the fall. And, I was walking to work, and I got fucking accosted by bikers with their fucking wheezing. I don't have a Pokemon.
In terms of why I suspect it's just super extended in people's lives, it's just tied to the escalation thing, and if you have fucking deity Pokemon walking around, it just becomes impossible to ignore in your day-to-day fucking life.
Yeah, it's not like some asshole's hobby. It's a bit of a big deal.
Yeah. I guess when you have a society where everything is just wrapped up in it to that extent, they sort of start treating being one of these trainers more like being a martial artist in some Jedi Geki setting.
Yes. Yeah, no, you are fucking Toshiro Mifune in all of these games.
Yeah, you are learning the way of the sword. And other people, they have swords. Swords are around. What a curious construct.
It really is. I'm going to purposefully sidestep the whole dogfighting question because that's boring and I'm not boring and people who talk about that are boring.
That the dogfight question is the quintessential example of someone not taking things on the terms that is very clearly laid out.
Yes.
First off, these are basically stands that you can pet anyway, so I don't even know what the fuck you're getting at.
I honestly don't even know that it's worth
Third off, is your dumbass going around saying... It feels like it's the same level of intellectual engagement as saying, man, the people in the world of Sailor Moon are letting these kids fight their battle for them. Where's the military and all this? I've known 3 guys, because I guess I just draw in a certain type of edge. Sam's known one of them, but this is a more common thing. And yeah, she's a turf, overrated books, whatever. But in talking about all the Harry Potter shit, they would always say, gun. Man, why doesn't you use a fucking gun? And I'm just sitting here, how do you watch any? How do you get through Enter the Dragon? Like, hey, why is this a martial arts tournament? Why is this a gun tournament? I don't know, dipfuck, because... Why do you need to ask that question to feel good about yourself? I have this... I can't source the person who said this originally, because I got this from someone who's a big fan of Film Crit Hulk, who in turn was referencing someone else. Mm-hmm. But some film writer or maker at some point pointed out that in a way, when it comes to understanding narratives and what matters and what fucking doesn't, kids are way smarter than a certain strain of grown-up because they don't get wrapped up in this bullshit inania.
Because kids don't really have... Kids have egos, yes, but they don't have bruised egos.
They don't have a wound.
They don't have a fucking wound that they, build their fucking personality around the way that, men of a certain age do. And, feel the need to point out that Pokemon is basically dogfighting and why doesn't Harry Potter have a gun?
That is fucking true. That is a good point that you've made there.
And I think it's just something happens to guys in middle school or high school. I think it's high school. I don't know. For me, it felt like it was high school. And they have to feel like they need to do something about it. And luckily, I feel as though I have gotten past my need to quote-unquote do something about it. And now what I'm doing about it is I have a fucking anime podcast.
It's a thing you're supposed to grow past, like teething.
Mm-hmm.
I would almost call it an emotional stage of puberty.
Yeah, but they're like people who are
They're just stuck there.
35
They just
years
live there, yeah.
They just never got fucking past it.
It feels like some kind of fucking invective ad against hormone blockers or whatever. Artificially extending puberty? That's disgusting. Do you want these kids to be stuck asking why Harry Potter doesn't have a gun longer than is natural? No. That's why the Turf Island Foundation for Preventing Man-Children is here. I think there would be more TERFs if you framed the argument that way. If you just had people if you just had people walking around saying, if you let teenagers make these kind of choices, you're going to have people saying, why isn't someone called the ASPCA on Ash walking around well into their late 40s? Is that what you want? Is that the world you want to live in? I think not.
I'm glad they're not smart enough to tilt that windmill.
I'm going to bring this back to this particular comic for a second, in terms of just talking about strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, in terms of weaknesses, this thing is always sort of trying to move at a harried clip. It's a thing that the pace works for and against at a time, because essentially a conflict will always be contained to a given chapter, which can lead to some great one-off moments, or it's good for individual plotty fights, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't necessarily give things room to breathe. And I don't mean in that sort of deep art way of like setting into like someone's motivations or whatever. I just mean that sometimes you do little mood things like let an explosion right out or whatever. And in Pokemon Adventures, it'll often be like, bang, it explodes, bang, we're in the aftermath, etc.
Yeah. Well, it's a sort of, you read enough shonen that goes on for hundreds and hundreds of chapters, right? You know, where the fights get extended and protracted out to like a dozen chapters sometimes. And you sort of ask, oh, what if they weren't allowed to do this? And so this is sort of like on the other end of that.
Yeah, it is definitely on the other end of the spectrum there, which actually gets towards what I did enjoy about this, which this is something that the show never did that well, in my opinion. I was a bratty kid in terms of what I thought about the TV program. But I enjoyed because pro wrestling has ruined my brain, the individual match structures and spots.
Oh my fucking god.
In Pokemon Adventure more than the show, and I think actually more than the way it was presented throughout most of Electric Tail of Pikachu, with the exception of how Electric Tail treated the league battles, which I just thought was
Just really
one of the strongest points of the whole comic.
It was just a really fantastic arc.
Yeah, that was like the peak of the whole Electric Tail thing. But the average throwdown in this plays out a little more interestingly than in Electric Tail. It is also just very attached to doing silly little... When I say silly, I mean in a sort of endearing kind of characterizing way. Like, people are just riding around on hydro pumps and whatever, and people are running alongside their Pokemon for no reason mid-battle. Like, it doesn't add anything to what they're trying to do in the fight, but I don't know, it lends a momentum. It's fun to me.
It's cool. It's kinetic.
It's kinetic.
It's kinetic. And the kinetics are important in things like this. Kinetics are one of the like strengths that manga kind of has.
By the way, I don't want to see any more fucking Instagram comments calling me a pretentious fuck, because I am clearly meeting this thing at the audience and genre and whatever level that it's gunning for.
Bro, no. Instagram commenters or some anime fans are some of the dumbest motherfuckers. We've been over this before.
Yeah.
They're calling you pretentious because they're stupid.
I am just amazed at the fucking vegetables that still follow me. Whatever. But
I don't know. I don't understand why people do the things they do. Let them. Like, I can't stop them.
So Red is a lot less grating than their presentation of Mr. Ash.
He was okay. Ash was okay. Red's just... I just remember him just being across the board just competent. He's just good at this.
Red is sort of a hero cipher type, but his main characterization thread is they essentially split the idea of being improvisational versus strategic between these two, and then can they come together? Who knows? Yes, that's just what the comic is about. You could see that there must have been a flop sweat bullet session for a second before they went to yellow because they were trying to think, okay, what the fuck is this chick's gimmick going to be? And
she's got a hat.
She's got a hat.
She's got a really big hat.
A huge hat and a fishing rod, and that's start. And then they decided to go for a sort of way of peace thing, which I know it's different, whatever.
Yeah, fun.
I did enjoy more than how it's presented in a lot of Pokemon media and how they sort of use it to present their little core theme of let's all be Poke friends together, because it read a little more as a general, why do we all have to be shit all the time? Or maybe it's just what's happening in the world at the moment. I just needed some sugar.
That's most of what I've been feeding myself of late.
Yeah, I really just needed some real cinnamon mixed with brown sugar.
It is why I've been so immensely grateful for the presence of shit like Steven Universe throughout all of this.
That's fair. Like, I can get one type of relief through, I don't know, a run through of Preacher or something, but I need a counterbalance in the world at the moment.
Yeah, I'm not going to be, that fucking weird asshole who, refuses to consume things that have even the slightest pessimistic bent, because look, it's fucking me. There's this joke about a type of genre called Samcore.
Yep.
Which kind of starts with Mobile Suit Gundam and just goes into anything that has just these kind of depressing stories about why people do evil things to one another, generally speaking.
I think the most complete synthesis of our sense of humor I've ever seen was in our sort of Ursat's Gundam parody series scripts.
Oh, yes.
We had the concept of ACT, or anti-civilian tactics. And that made me smile.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back to like the fucking Google Doc that we have for that. There's actually several, as I remember.
What else did I want to get at? Oh, since you were discussing the booking of Sabrina across the franchise.
It's so fucking fascinating. Just what a fucking...
So this time she's not a creepy doll. Instead, she is some kind of tyke bomb. I don't know if she was raised in a factory or whatever. Not tyke bomb. She's older in this one, I guess.
Yeah, she seems to be in her 20s or something. That's the thing. She doesn't even have an age that is really easy to nail down, because she seems like she might be like 19 or so in the anime. In the games, who knows? It was 16-bit, 32. I don't fucking know. It was, it was low res, and you could only kind of tell. I know she had a whip. That was that. Remember, like, whips? Like, everyone had a fucking whip in Gen 1, and a couple of them did in Gen 2, and then in Gen 3,
it was supposed to be a signifier of being harsher with your animals, I guess.
Or something. I just remember there were a number of different trainers and trainer types who had whips. I think Team Rocket grunts carried around whips every now and again. Then they phased those out in Gen 2, and they were just gone by 3. I think there was this idea of like Pokemon being slightly less intelligent in Gen 1.
Oh yeah, now they're just full out sapient all the time.
They seem to actually be like somewhat sentient. So the idea was that they were like these beasts that you have to tame. Sometimes like people would like literally use like lion tamer shit.
At that time, they're only about as smart as like the average undecided voter.
Ha.
We respect everyone here on Weeaboo Hell, except half the country. Go fuck yourselves. But sorry, I don't mean go fuck yourselves. I mean go fuck yourself. Damn it! I did it again. It's pretty compulsive. It's a problem. I'll work.
Not my problem.
On me.
Mm-hmm. Although that's kind of fun, though. The way in which the franchise has kind of evolved. Kind of the way in which the idea of Pokemon has evolved, since 1995, 6? Mm-hmm. Something along those lines. Like, starting with, the idea that Pokemon are a little bit more intelligent than they were originally imagined to be. I think there's this idea that started to come about in Gens 2 and 3. I think Gen 3. It seemed Yeah, like more in Gen 3. The idea that society developed differently in the Pokemon world because of the presence of Pokemon than it might have. And that's less of a thing in Gens 1 and 2, I'm pretty sure. But, like, in Gen 3, you start getting references to just stuff does or does not exist in the Pokemon world specifically because of Pokemon.
That is a wacky ass idea. And kind of amusing. I just realized I don't think I even saw a car in fucking Pokemon until like Gen 4.
That's just sort of, like, cars kind of just can't fucking...
Oh yeah, the whole overworld thing.
The whole overworld thing, like, you know, it's understood. Like, that's the thing with video games. It's just like, wow, man, this entire country is, you know, if you like measure it out, is more or less the size of a neighborhood in Brooklyn.
Now, because I am a ill-tempered child, I do have some things I want to make fun of.
What would you like to make fun of?
First off, over in Saffron City, they just put the whole peak of the whole Team Rocket plot there. I don't remember if it was like that or wasn't like that in the games because...
Yeah, there was the fucking Sylph Company takeover.
Yeah,
they
the whole
had that
Sylph
kick-ass music.
They do this like Call the Riders of Rohan thing with the League of Justice Gym Leaders. I think it was something like the Justice Gym Leaders or the Gym Leaders of Good. And I'm just like, what are you doing? And it's funnier because what they do has no bearing to what the fucking Power Trio does inside the building. And it's funnier fucking still because they did not build up any connection between the non-Rocket gym leaders, really.
So that was just like every other gym leader?
It was everyone that wasn't in Team Rocket or X-Team Rocket. It was Brock, Plant Lady...
Erica.
Plant Lady.
Okay.
Misty. There might have been a fourth one. Blaine, they gave him this whole plot line where he had run away from Team Rocket but had to redeem himself by stopping Mewtwo from Mewtwoing.
Fascinating.
There is a whole weird myth arc to this thing that I kind of admire.
Yeah, no, it's
within the playground it's playing in.
Neat. I think that's it then. Because besides those three, right, there's Koga, Lieutenant Surge, Sabrina, Giovanni, and now Blaine, right? So I guess it's just those three guys.
It's funny, so Blaine is a fire trainer, so I think of the word blaze, and because I think of the word blaze, my brain cannot help but be dragged to the existence of Blaze Ya Dead Homie, a juggalo rapper, who is a gangbanger who got shot and came back as a rapping zombie.
I thought you were just gonna go something for as simple as just the word, the term 420 blaze it, but like...
Nope, I go to a far dumber place in my head.
We're going deeper than that.
How long do you think it took Blaze Ya Dead Homie to make a song called Blaze It? Or is that like one wordplay tier above like the average juggalo rapper?
This is a question? I don't... Premiere album? Debut album? I'm... Not even that, just the fucking mixtape that they pass around to get a record deal.
Are you sure that's what it is? Or maybe it would be like his more emotional, more mature, sophomore effort. You know, when we start exploring the Blaze Ya Dead Homie character...
Something about this topic of conversation is making me feel exceptionally tired. And not just because it's almost 2.
I think it's because you've been putting up with my shit for going on 15 years now?
It's more than 10. It is now more than 10.
Fucking fascinating. Alright, I'll close out on this. So, Blue who is green, or green who is blue. The girl trainer who is Catwoman does a whole Catwoman thing in this.
Mm-hmm. It's a fun bit.
It's a fun bit. There is an amusing thing where when people split off for their sort of quasi-final boss Team Rocket gym leader fights, she has to get in a girl fight with Sabrina. And because it is a girl fight when Sabrina has her sort of on the ropes, there is a exceptionally stupid spot, which I had to bring onto this show.
Mm-hmm.
So she's tied up. She can't reach her Pokemon. So he's like, I can finish you at my whim because you're so weak. And she goes, yeah, But at least I'm not flat like you.
Ooh.
And this is a setup for Dodo-san. There's a strategic Pokemon maneuver of the Trixie Catwoman variety.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I know what you're fucking talking about.
So Sabrina's Pokemon slashes at her tits because evidently Sabrina's a fucking war criminal, by the way. If that's
Like
just
I said, Sabrina the fucking psychopath in this one. Yes.
just her response to being called by is like, hey, growl if claw her tits off. But so in the middle, tried to commit her fucking Janjaweed war crime. 2 fucking Pokeballs spill out.
Yep.
And I'm there to sit. And she's drawn similarly throughout the franchise. So I am left to assume that at all times, 2 Pokemon are stuffed in her fucking training block. In case of emergency.
In case of fucking...
And you know, this is a high stakes situation. You wouldn't
like
like
the Pokemon equivalent of like just fucking shoe money.
Yeah. Yeah. It's... So that exists.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Pokemon Adventures is just an amusing episodic action-based time. I like it as a brand product. It reminded me that advertising does not have to make me hear the clanging metal song from fucking Silent Hill 2 in my head.
Oh man, that was probably audible just now.
It totally was. I might even keep it.
It's very loud. No, that's never not very loud. It's very late.
It is quite late. The world conspired against us a little this week, but we got you your beautiful product anyway.
The next time I will actually fucking watch / read something.
It really helps the
bare
process for you, I
fucking
think.
minimum. Instead of just pull fucking hot takes about Pokemon out of my ass.
It's not every week that we do something in a franchise that Sammy Boy has dedicated his life to, so I think in the future he will have to.
I will actually have to like put in some work. I got lucky this time. I got busy the week we were talking about something that I spent, something like, if you add it all up, 5 or 6 months, like contiguous months of my life doing.
That's a lot of tall grass, kids.
Right? It doesn't seem like too much, right? But then, I'm 28 years old, right? And there's 12 months in a year, 28 years. All right, let's assume
do some
6
math,
months.
kids.
Let's assume
Action
6
math.
months, right? Oh god, I've just been confronted with my inability to fucking do this math.
This man's on the border of hyperventilating from the pressure
Oh god. Okay, so 28
of remembering his arithmetic.
times 2.
It has been some time, hasn't it?
I don't know because I'm not doing this right.
That's fair.
It's 2
The
in
point
the fucking
is that
morning.
in imperial units, it's lots.
It's been a long ass fucking time.
So
What
This has-
percentage of my life is 6 months? How the fuck do you calculate that? I don't know.
that's your homework. You know what? That's your homework. Come back next time.
Okay.
So this has been
Weeaboo Hell.
Weeaboo Hell. It's Weeaboo Hell.
Weeaboo Hell.
I am Dennard Dayle, who is currently wide awake because I was asleep an extra 4 hours today from my Trump Rona hangover.
I am so very tired, and they call me Lego.
They call him Lego. You can find out more about us at weeaboohell.com, or there's a Weeaboo Hell Instagram account that I have totally forgotten to update for about 2 weeks because
Ooh.
it was my birthday. Everyone can fuck off. I've been on the party train.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get back on that. And next week we might round out this trilogy with that Pokemon gag strip series that's been going on forever.
Oh yeah, Pocket Monsters, just like Doraemon or whatever. It's just fucking been there.
And that's going to be fucking fascinating.
Well, we'll see you there.
Oh, one last riff I'm going to just throw in before the end. Or maybe I'll make this a stinger, whatever. There's one thing that entertained me too, because I watched too much wrestling. Because this thing starts out and it's sort of playing around with some Pokemon didn't get as much focus on the show. Like he's got a Poliwhirl he's really into. There's a Poliwrath. And then as if the fucking marketing department broke into the door with a fucking battering ram, he finds his Pikachu.
That was pretty early on.
It was pretty early on, yeah. And This happened in the show too, but it's just funnier to me here because this is a little. Normally, you don't feel the thumb as strongly in this comic.
Mm.
But he gets to the rock gym and circumstances sort of contrive that he has to face Onyx with only Pikachu.
Yeah.
And I just kept seeing in my head, lol, Roman wins.
I think that's just the one thing that is the same throughout all fucking canons. Whether your name is Ash or Red or what have you, you have a fucking Pikachu.
You have a fucking Pikachu. It's in your top 3.
It's in your top 3. Is your fucking go-to. You know, you could. It is either, you know, the Red whose name is Ash in the anime. It is the Red whose name is actually Red in the, you know, manga. It is Ash from Electric Tale of Pikachu. It is the Red that you face on the slopes of Mount Silver. Peak of Mount. I think it's like meant to be the peak. I don't know.
Mountain Land.
In Mount Silver.
It's an amusing tale. Anyway, good time with you people. Have a great one.
Fuck 12.
Fuck 12.
Is 56. So we're doing 56 half years, right? If I'm 28 years old, then I've had 56 half years, right? So one of these 56 has been spent playing Pokemon. So 56 times point 01 is 0.56.
Oof.
Okay, so that's 1% of 56. So times 1, that's still 0.56.
Yes, Sam.